no new band has taken the mantle, from the old bands. And it always used to work that way. So you had all the bands from the 60s sort of passing the mantle onto the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And you had these new generations of bands, and the music just sort of developed over the years in sort of like a progressive way, right? Whereas since, look, I don't know, I would say maybe 10 or 15 years ago, where we saw the last remnants of bands like the Foo Fighters, or Nickelback, or the rock bands, right? The sort of newish rock bands, and even some of the more alternative bands, like Puddle of Mud, and some other bands that were not in the general stream of consciousness. Okay, like I like to call it, the pop stream, right, where songs are being played on the radio. And even in Australia, you had Jet, which was starting to make some noise. They disbanded. But rock in general, since the past 10, 15 years, really hasn't gone anywhere. There haven't been any new bands, and I think that's probably part of the reason that there is still such a huge demand for the older bands, that are still touring. Even Rolling Stones are still touring. It's unbelievable. Even after Charlie Watts died, it's like, no, they're still going. Foo Fighters are still going. They lost their drummer. AC/DC is still going. I mean, geez, I think I saw a video recently, and that was hard to watch, to be honest with you. There were two videos that I saw recently that were hard to watch. So one was Phil Collins, and I think it was his final show. But the guy, it didn't look great at all. I mean, I think he was like sitting on a chair and stuff, and just like, yeah. But the other one was even worse, and that was the band that sings Barracuda. I forget the name of the band right now, but the singer, and I forget her name as well. But anyway, the singer, she was in a wheelchair, man. I mean, nothing against people that are performing, and look, perform as long as you want, and like you're in a wheelchair, that's fine. But it's like, geez, it's like, come on, like, I don't know. At some point, it's like, that's it, it's over. But they're still touring because the demand is still there. Why is the demand still there? It's not just because they were great bands, and not just because they released amazing music. It's not just that. There's a vacuum there. There is a vacuum there. So no new bands have come in to take the mantle and continue. It's just not happening. It's just not happening, unfortunately, in the rock genre.